Alright, good morning 5B. This is Mr. Wong. So this is our second day of HPL. Today our job is to go through the MCQ you have done yesterday on class cake, and then after that I'll let you do three open-ended questions yourself, and we'll discuss those three questions on Monday when we return. Okay, so hopefully after perhaps next Tuesday, hopefully by next Tuesday we can start our materials. Then you will see less worksheets and you will see more of me doing experiments to show you what electricity is all about. Okay, I think I made a mistake just now. We're gonna start on electricity. Kind of confused my primary 3 class as well. All right, so this is your homework. Your homework today was to do question 1 to 6. Question 7, unfortunately, there are some mistakes, so skip question 7. Only do 1 to 6, so you can draw a big cross across question 7. Okay, so question 7 is out. So with that, let's start the ball rolling. Okay, question 1. The tables below show the properties of cells. Okay, it's more like the characteristic of cells. I think I will just change it. Make the change for me. Can you write there? It is actually the characteristics of cells. P, Q, and R. Okay, it's not the properties of cells. Cells don't have properties per se. Properties is more for like materials per se. Okay, so this is characteristics. Please replace the word. Please cancel out the word properties. Okay, cancel it out. I'm gonna pick a bigger line, something like that. Oh, this too big already. Yeah, never mind. You know the idea. Alright, so the table below shows the characteristics of three cells, P, Q, and R. Let's look at the table first before we look at what is being mentioned at the for the options. Okay, so let's look through all the characteristics. P has cytoplasm, cell membrane, and nucleus, and we know that all these three, let me just highlight all these three. All these three are basically common to plant and animal cells. So they do not tell me anything much because I know all cells have nucleus, all cells have cell membrane, all cells have cytoplasm. Okay, so this is for all cells. So nothing new here. This is for all cells. Okay, maybe I will draw a line here to represent this. Okay, so cytoplasm, cell membrane, nucleus is for all cells, nothing new. So apart from this, you have two other parts which I will highlight in green because there's a reason because it's green. These two are for plant cells only. Okay, so these two are for plant cells. Let's write it down. Okay, get my text box, and these are for plant cells. That's it. Okay, so I would like to put it over here. Right, so cytoplasm, cell membrane, nucleus are the same for all cells. Cell wall and chloroplast is unique to plant cell, and chloroplast is only unique to leaves. So maybe we can also write this down. Chloroplast is only unique to leaf cell. So this is from a leaf. Okay, so let's write that down. Okay, so this is only for a leaf because I know other parts of the plant, like flower, like fruit, they probably don't have chloroplast. So let's look at all the options given. P has everything including chloroplast, so we know P must be a plant cell. It must be from a leaf. Okay, so P must be from a leaf, so I'm going to write it down and I'm going to put it here. So P is a leaf, or from a leaf cell, or from a part from the leaf, any cell from the leaves per se. Then I look at Q, okay, has these three basic ones, and then has cell wall but doesn't have chloroplast. So I know being a cell wall, I know that being a cell wall means that having a cell wall means that it's definitely a plant cell. Okay, so for Q, I know it's definitely a plant cell. Let me just draw out over here. I know it's a plant cell, but I don't know which part of the plant. It might be from the roots, might be from the stems, might be from the flower, the fruits, I don't know. But I know that it is definitely a plant cell. I'm going to put it over here. Maybe a bit below so you can see. And then after that, I look at R. R only has the three basic parts: cytoplasm, nucleus, and cell membrane. Doesn't have cell wall, doesn't have chloroplast. So I know that R must be a animal cell. Okay, so I'm going to put it over here so you can see. So P must be from part of a leaf cell. Q must be a plant cell. R must be an animal cell. So together, we can look at the comments that the student said. P is a plant cell. So P is a plant cell, correct? It means a leaf cell, it must be a plant cell. Q is a plant cell. Yeah, Q is a plant cell, correct? R is an animal cell. R is an animal cell, correct? P and Q can make its own food. Okay, I'm going to highlight P and Q can make its own food. So look at P. P is a leaf cell. Yes, it's chloroplast. It can make food. So this is correct. But it's only this part. This is correct. Q. Q is a plant cell, yes, but it doesn't have chloroplast. So it cannot make its own food. So the only correct ones are A, B, and C. So A, B, and C. So answer is 3. Alright. So this is how you have to make sense of the table, make sense of what they say. If it's wrong, tell me why it's wrong, and then use your tick and cross, you will get the answer. Alright. So let's go to the second part. The diagram below shows a cell. Okay, we know, let's write all the cell parts down that we know. This big gigantic black colored dot is your nucleus, followed by this small little dots. These are your chloroplasts. And later on I'll share with you how I know it is definitely a plant cell, although they never tell you about it. Okay, so this is a chloroplast. And then part C is your cell membrane. Please look carefully, it's the line inside, not the line outside. Membrane. And the last part is your cell wall. Let's write it down. Cell wall. Okay, so every time you have a diagram like this, write down every single part that you know. Okay, how do I know that this is a plant cell? Think about it. How do I know by just looking at it? You realize that it has a cell wall. So any cell that has a cell wall must be a plant cell. Okay, it might be from the leaf, it might be from the flowers, from the fruit, doesn't matter. As long as a cell wall means it must be a plant cell. Okay, that's the main thing. So what happens that when the cell is submerged in water, means put inside water. When the cell is put inside water, it did not burst, it did not explode, means that it kept its shape. Okay, so this burst here, you need to link it. Okay, it did not burst means it kept its shape. It did not lose its shape. So what does the cell have to make sure it can keep its shape? Is it the nucleus? No, nucleus contains genetic information for reproduction. Chloroplast to make food, cell membranes to control the substances going in and out of the cell. It is actually the cell wall, okay, which is actually part D. Right? So it is actually part D. Let's use a pen. It's actually part D. So answer is 4. Alright, okay. So answer is 4 because it did not burst means it kept its shape. And what does it have to keep its shape? Yes, it's cell wall, because the cell wall maintains the shape of the plant. Alright. So with that, let's go on to question 3. Alright. So let's look at this flowchart over here. Cell has cell wall. Let's highlight. Has cell wall. Has no cell wall. I highlight in a different color. So cells that have no cell wall, we know that straight away this is an animal cell. Let's write it down. This is an animal cell. So always look at the diagram first. Don't go to the question and write down what you know. So R I know is animal cell. So over at this side, cell has cell wall. I know it's a plant cell. So write down here plant cell. And it gets subdivided again, chloroplast and without chloroplast. So without chloroplast and with chloroplast. So what's the difference here? So with chloroplast, we know that it must come from a leaf, might come from the leaf. And then over here, we know that it doesn't have chloroplast, but it's still a plant cell, so we know it's not a leaf, not a leaf cell. Alright, so having understood all this, let's go and find out which one is correct. I want the one that is correct. Okay, so R can be a leaf, can be an onion leaf cell. R is an animal cell, cannot be an onion leaf cell. P could be a leaf cell, yes. R could be a root cell. R is an animal cell, it cannot be a root cell. Root is a plant or parts of a plant. R could be a human chick cell, yes, might correct. While P could be a onion root cell. P is a plant cell, correct, but P is from a leaf, it cannot be from the root, so it's wrong. So the last one, Q could be a root cell. I know Q is not a leaf cell for sure, so Q could be a root cell. R could be a human cell. R, animal cell, human cell, correct. So answer is 4. So everyone that is correct, tell yourself why. For everyone that is wrong, tell yourself why is it wrong and which part is wrong. So you always understand the diagram followed by considering the options. If it's correct, why? If it's wrong, why? Right? So now let's go on to question 4. Okay, I have 3 parts that I remove. Each part when I remove, I tell you the effect. So for A, I remove away the nucleus. This is the effect. B, remove away the chloroplast. This is the effect. C, remove the cytoplasm. This is the effect. So let's look at each effect first before we look at the question. If I remove the nucleus, the cell will be able to reproduce. Is that correct or wrong? Think about it. Okay, nucleus actually contains the genetic information. Let me write over here. I'll just write as genetic info. Okay, so I know that the nucleus, let me draw a line to connect them. Nucleus contains genetic information. So if you remove the nucleus, you remove away the genetic information, can it still be able to reproduce? Definitely not. It's not able to reproduce if it doesn't have genetic information. Now we look at the next part. If I remove the chloroplast, what will happen? If I remove the chloroplast, it will not be able to trap light. So what is chloroplast for? Chloroplast, remember, it contains chlorophyll. And what is chlorophyll for? Chlorophyll is to absorb sunlight to make food. Okay, so this is for chloroplast because chloroplast contains chlorophyll to absorb sunlight to make food. So if I remove chloroplast, means I don't have chlorophyll, means the cell was not able to trap sunlight to make food. So this is actually correct. This is a pen. Alright, can. Okay, so without the nucleus, cannot reproduce, but without the chloroplast, you cannot trap sunlight, cannot make food. Let's go to the last one. If I take away the cytoplasm, there's no medium for cell activity to take place, which is correct because we know cytoplasm is actually where, okay, let me just write down here, where the activities of the cell take place, where activities take place. Okay, so I'm gonna connect them together. Right, so without the cytoplasm, there is no medium for the cell activities to happen, which is correct. So I want correctly shows, so I want correct. So which one are correct? It is actually B, it's actually C, so the answer is 3. Okay, so same thing while I've been doing this since the day I started teaching you. You always consider the information given first, understand it in depth before you go and look at the answers itself so that you have a better understanding of what they are asking you for. Okay, let's go to the last 2 questions, question 5 and question 6. All right. So I have equal amount of yeast cells. Is from the fungi family if you haven't forgotten about it in P3. So yeast cell is actually a fungi, but every living thing is made out of cells. That's what we have learned so far. Okay, so I have 4 different containers, each containing equal amount of yeast, but I have different conditions here. So what are the different conditions? Let's go and see. Okay, let's use temperature. Let's use the amount of water to be blue. Okay, so in Q I have 10 milliliters of water, R I have 5 milliliters of water, S I have 5 also, T I have 10 milliliters of water, while on the other hand for temperature, Q is at 30 degrees Celsius, R at 40 degrees Celsius, S at 35 degrees Celsius, T at 40 degrees Celsius. Which container would I choose to test or to show that the temperature of water will affect the rate of reproduction in itself? So this is actually my aim. Let me just write it down. This is actually my aim of experiment. I'm going to use short form. Okay. So my aim of experiment is actually what is being stated here. Okay. The aim of experiment is to find out if the temperature of water affects the rate of reproduction in yeast cell, whether the temperature of water affects how fast the yeast cell reproduce. So this is my change variable. This is the only variable that I change. I only change the temperature. I have only one change variable. Change variable is the variable I change. Okay. And I'm going to connect it with a line. Okay. So in this experiment, I am testing whether the temperature affects the speed where the yeast reproduce. So my change variable is my temperature. So I will only change temperature. Everything else I will keep the same. So first I will look at containers with 2 different temperatures. Okay, I have 30 degrees, 40 degrees, 35 degrees, and 40 degrees. I mean, I can use 30 and 35. I can use 30 with 40, or even this 30 and 40. So instead of maybe looking at temperature, let's look at all the other variables like amount of water. I know I can only change temperature, so amount of water must be the same. So let's tie them together. So I can use Q and T together. Why? Because both have the same amount of water, but both have different temperature, which is my change variable. I can also use S and R. Maybe I make it thicker, like this. Okay, like this perhaps. Okay, I can use S and R because both have the same amount of water, but both have different temperature, which is my change variable. So in every experiment, there's only one change variable because the results you get, the differences you see in your results is only due to that one variable that you change. It's not due to a lot of different other factors. It's only due to the thing you change. So for this experiment, since I'm changing the temperature of water, that is the only thing I change. I don't change the volume. I don't change the location. I don't change the container. I don't change the type of yeast. Everything I keep the same except for my temperature. So I'm looking at containers with different temperature, but everything else is the same. So given to me is the amount of water. So I know Q and R have the same amount of water, which is correct, and they have different temperature, which is what I want to change. And S and R, they have the same amount of water, but they have different temperature, which is also what I want to change. So I can either use QT or SR. So let's see whether these options are available. Let's look for Q and T. Yes, I have a Q. I have a okay, I have a Q. I have a T. Do I have a S and R? No, I only has a S and T or a Q and S. So wrong. So answer must be 3. Right? So this question is testing you about process skill, whether you know what is the change variable here. So I'm testing whether the temperature affects the growth of yeast cells. So I only change the temperature of the water. Everything else I keep the same. So I choose containers with different temperatures, but everything else is the same. So Q and T, same amount of water, different temperature, which is correct. S and R, similar amount of water, different temperature, which is correct, but only Q and T is available as an option. So answer is 3. Alright, this is an important question for process Q, especially for a fair test. Okay, let's go to 6. Jason said these few statements. Let's look at each statement and let us see if it's correct or wrong. So first one, all things are made up of cells. Correct or wrong? It is actually wrong. Why? Because all things also include living and non-living things. Okay, all things include living and non-living things. All right, we know that for living things, they are made of cells, correct? So let's link them together first before we continue. Okay, so Jason said all things are made of cells, but you know that only cells are the basic building block of life, so it must be living. So only living things have cells, but non-living things do not have cells because they are not alive. Okay, so all things are made of cells is wrong because yes, living things have cells, but non-living things don't have cells. Okay, that's the main problem of this statement. Larger organisms have more cells. Let's highlight that in a different color. Larger organisms have more cells. True or not true? Answer is true. When you're a baby, you're smaller, you have less number of cells. As you grow up, your cells multiply, your cells split to get more cells, so you become larger. Okay? And on the other hand, if B is correct, C must be wrong because C says larger organisms have larger cells. Okay, which is wrong. The cells don't really grow in size that much. They actually grow in numbers. So larger organisms do not have larger cells, they just have more cells. So C is wrong. Later we'll just cancel it out. Different shapes of cells determine their function. Correct. Okay, why is that so? Let's highlight first. Okay, different shape determine the different function. This is true. Okay, why is it true? For example, if you realize the sperm cell has a tail at the back that helps it to swim or to move, well, some cells like the nerve cell, they have many connection points because they're all connected to the different parts of the body from the head to the toe. So that when someone steps on your toe, the signal gets transmitted up to your brain and your brain will know. So different shape of the cells have different function because different cells have different function and their shape need to be modified to be able to uh, perform their function. Okay, so which statements is true? You want true, you want correct. So there's B and D. B is correct, D is correct. Answer is 3. All right. Okay. So with that, I've gone through yesterday's homework, which is something you've done actually last week for your home-based learning. So your homework today is the first 3 open-ended question. I want you to do on class kick as well as on hard copy. I want you to do question 8. I actually split it up into 3 pages. So I want you to do question 8. I want you to do question 9. And I want you to do question 10. Okay, so question 8, 9, 10 is a homework for today. Please do on class kick and please do on hard copy as well. We'll go through the answers on Monday so that on Tuesday we can start on materials. All right, so thank you so much for your attention. I'll see you again on Monday.